All right, let's go. I hope you all enjoyed your weekend, got to celebrate Easter, got to celebrate 420, and if you're really talented, maybe you celebrated them both at the same time. It was a warm Sunday here in Los Angeles. Of course, the only problem with that is
I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun.
I have to say my favorite part of Easter is watching the little kids run around and hunt for their Easter eggs. It's also fun to see their faces when they meet the Easter Bunny for the first time. But my least favorite part is having to deal with the guy who comes to the potluck empty-handed, complains about all the food that everyone else brought, and then tries to take home all the leftovers. Personally, I love to get together with family. I always find it fun to ask the interesting questions. I think the most important parts of Easter is 1, making sure you bring good gifts for the egg hunts, and 2, making sure the guy on the grill isn't putting cheese on a raw burger. How are you supposed to flip it, Chuck? It does kind of feel like the crypto market is trying to resurrect itself a little bit, but I think it's safe to say that this bull cycle has been anything but smooth. So while families may disagree, and conversations may get a little shocking, once people have a few drinks, the truth normally comes out. And by the time things get too out of control,
bro, I'm 3 high noons deep.
But at least we can all agree on one thing.
Farts are always funny, not gonna lie.
We got a lot to talk about, so go ahead and make yourself comfortable. Always remember, it is better to judge people based on their actions over their words. We may be getting to a point where making America great again is just too ambitious, and we may have to settle for the next best thing. There are really only 2 types of people in this world, and you can find out where you fit in by answering one simple question. So like I said, we got lots to get to, but here's Brad on the possibility of a Ripple IPO in 2025.
We have talked a little bit about would we go public, and it's like, well, the US market until recently has been very hostile, and like, why would we even try to have that conversation? I mean, I guess the exact answer to the question, will we IPO in 2025? I think that's a definitive no.
Okay.
We're in 2025, and it certainly takes a little bit of time to get there. But I also think you have to ask yourself, okay, how does Ripple benefit from being a public company? And therefore, is it a high priority for us? So what we've said is there's no imminent plans to go public. I will acknowledge that a change in the SEC in the United States, as he said earlier, as conditions change, you never say never.
And if we take a look at this from Ali charts, the Bollinger Bands are squeezing on the XRP 4-hour chart, signaling that a major price move could be just around the corner. And big news here from Ripple's latest acquisition. Hidden Road received a license to operate as a broker-dealer, part of the firm's expansion of its prime brokerage business to reach more institutional investors. An interesting post here from Chad Steingraber. Global M2 money supply is pumping to new all-time highs. The coming weeks will bring the crypto rockets.
Final question for you. As you probably watched, so many CEOs were doing almost victory laps in the crypto world as these enforcement cases were dropped by this current administration of cases, of course, cases that you had brought. As you watched that, what did you think?
Look, I'm going to step back a little bit from any individual cases and just say this again to your viewing public. This is a very small part of the financial markets, but if you were interested in this, think about every financial asset sort of trades on a bit of fundamentals and sentiment. But this field is almost 99, or maybe one might say 100% sentiment and very little on fundamentals.
From now on, when you ask someone a question and they sidestep it like a little bitch, refusing to answer, that is called pulling a Gary.
Now I am left with a shame name and a booty hole that is quite stretched out.
Real quick, are you expecting a recession this year?
100% not. 100% not. If you look at the jobs numbers, they're very, very strong. When I talk anecdotally to CEOs, I say things like, well, geez, is the uncertainty over tariffs looking like it's going to be a big drag? And they're saying things like, no, in terms of production, we're getting as much onshore as we can. And in terms of sales of foreign goods, people are buying as many as they can because they're worried about future tariffs. So everything's through the roof.
And check this out from Plan B, maybe the most important chart in all of crypto. He says after 200-week moving average, which is the black line, touches the 200-week geometric mean, which is the gray line, Bitcoin historically pumps. And we'll take a look at some more updated target price levels in just a minute, but first, let's take a look at some other top headlines.
Jimmy Carter died a happy man. You know why? Because he wasn't the worst president. Joe Biden was. Everybody wants to make a deal, and if they don't want to make a deal, we'll make the deal for them. Because that's what's going to happen. We're just saying.
The White House has updated the covid.gov website, outlining how the pandemic originated from a Chinese lab leak. At the same time, an investigation has been launched into Anthony Fauci's involvement. Unfortunately, no one has been able to reach Tony for a comment. Is it just me, or does anybody else wish that people would have questioned Fauci as much as they're questioning Elon?
While most Americans had to write a big fat check to the government today to pay their taxes, over 100,000 federal workers are not paying their taxes. In 2021, the IRS found that almost 150,000 federal workers owe about $1.5 billion in unpaid taxes. Over 5,000 of them work at the IRS and owe $50 million in overdue taxes.
Paramount releases the new poster for the upcoming Titanic remake. Hashkey Capital announces launch of Asia's first XRP tracker fund with Ripple as an early investor. Pete Buttigieg lands a new sponsorship deal. A new book has just been added to the required reading list at Harvard University.
I think we should have strong border security. It doesn't make sense for us to allow hundreds of thousands of people coming through our borders without us knowing who they are.
I'm pretty sure this is not what he meant. Representative Sri Thanadar from Michigan calls for President Donald Trump to be impeached. And I had never heard of this guy before, so I'm not sure if this is the right picture. I've also seen people posting this one, or maybe he looks more like this. Whoever he is, this was a little disturbing. Head of the European Central Bank, Christine Lagarde, says that the digital euro will be here by October 2025. She went on to say,
Did you buy the dip? Did you buy the dip? You did not buy the dip? I bought the dip. Of course I bought the dip.
Occasional Cortex and the Burner continue to hold rallies across America. You will hear them talking about fighting oligarchy, calling people names, and often inciting violence. One thing you will never hear is a USA chant. Why? Because these communists truly hate our country. India just completed its first crude oil deal with the UAE using local currencies and the XRP Ledger as part of the infrastructure. Rest in peace, Pope Francis. Imagine living such a full life, and this is the last thing you see. And an overlooked consequence from tariffs, Vietnamese prostitutes will now only love Americans medium time. All right, let's take a quick look at some target price levels for both XRP and Bitcoin. On the 2-week scale, the hidden bullish divergence remains as XRP closed the week above the $2.09 level. However, on the weekly scale, the divergence has been negated. The stochastic RSI is still below the 20 level on the weekly scale, and the RSI is still below the moving average, which is this yellow line right here. If we continue to stay below this 20 level on the SRSI, it just increases the likelihood that XRP will drop into this orange fib retracement box, which in my opinion would be a great spot to dollar cost average or add to your position. When we look over here at Bitcoin, Bitcoin currently has the potential hidden bullish divergence on both the RSI and SRSI comparing to the price. The SRSI also looks to have the potential to have a close above this 20 level. You can see that the blue line is currently above the 20. However, the orange line is still below. Once we see both lines cross above 20 and establish the level above the 20 level for the next couple of weeks, you would expect an explosion in price for BTC and altcoins as well. So you know I'll be watching, and I'll keep you updated with any new information. To the morons who continue to prove their stupidity in the comment section, my message to you is clear. If anyone is offended by anything I say, well, I wish we could go back to the days when blue-haired trolls look like this, rather than this. We have to accept that some things will just never make sense.
I have nipples, Greg. Could you milk me?
I feel like a lot of us definitely feel the same way. It's just unfortunate that others continue to promote the bad guys. And if you have a couple more minutes, you may also like this video right here, an urgent message from Ripple about the price of XRP. Until the next time, be safe.